everybody. As promised, we're doing a video going over all the tools, all the equipment, all the paints, chemicals, everything that got us to the point that we're at today. So everything that we're going to discuss today, I'm going to put a link to in the description below, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay. Angle grinder.
All right. Probably one of the most important tools that we've bought.
Yeah.
The angle grinder is going to help you out with a lot of stuff. Primarily with the removal or the demo of your floors.
Yeah.
In our case, we had rubber laid down on top of metal. So we had a lot of adhesive and a bit of surface rust that we had to take care of. And that angle grinder worked wonders. One of the best tools that you can get for that is this right here. This is a wire wheel. There's two types of them. There's three types of them. There's this one here. This one's kind of a cone shape. This works great on the wheel wells. It's phenomenal on the wheel wells. It's also really good once you have all of your adhesive up, to kind of scuff your floors to allow your paint to stick to it. Mm-hmm. Another excellent tool with that is this sanding wheel. This worked in some areas where the paint or there was a lot of rust buildup. This was able to get right through it and straight down to bare metal. And then this abrasive disc, it kind of looks like a sponge. It feels kind of like a sponge, but this will remove just about anything off of metal. This stuff works amazing. This one is for a drill. The rest of these are for the angle grinder, so they work out perfect. One of the questions that we see a lot on the Skoolie Facebook groups is, how do you remove the rubber flooring? Or how do you get the adhesive up? Well, the rubber flooring, we had
time and patience.
We had such a difficult time getting that rubber flooring up until we got this. Now, this is a shovel. I'm not entirely sure what the name of the shovel is. It's essentially just a flat square. And we had cut up a section, and we would just ram this up underneath the rubber, and it would pick it up in like 3-foot sections, which was a lot better than trying to go at it with a putty knife.
What we started with, which is what we started with. Let's put that out there.
God awful. It was so bad.
There's not enough arm strength or body strength that you can get behind a tiny little putty
This shovel
spatula.
made such quick work of getting that rubber up. Now, I mean, there were certain areas that we had to go back at it with a putty knife.
Little pieces.
But for the majority of the floor, this shovel did all the work. This thing was absolutely amazing. Yeah. Now, once your rubber floor is removed and you're able to get down in there, and what you're going to find is a lot of adhesive.
Unless you're one of those buses that has a lot of wood.
Yeah, see, I don't know what's underneath those. I would imagine that they might have adhesive too.
Yeah, I've gotten, I think I've asked somebody, and I think they said there was adhesive underneath their boards, but it's not all of them, you know what I mean? So it all just depends.
I guess it really depends on when and where it was built.
Yeah.
But if you do have adhesive, this stuff works wonders. Goof off. We picked this up from Ace Hardware. Mm-hmm. You essentially drench your floor in that.
We went through what, 2.5 cans almost?
Yeah, 2.5 cans to take up all the adhesive in here. The one thing that you're going to want to do though, good ventilation. Yes. What we ended up doing, we brought a box fan in here. We lowered all the windows.
Yeah, we set it in our back emergency.
You're going to want proper protection, proper breathing protection, and eye protection. This stuff can and will mess you up.
So yes. You will feel the burn.
You will feel it. So make sure that you've got the proper protective equipment for that.
Yes.
What worked really well with this is we would essentially pour it on the floor
in sections.
In sections about 3 foot, and then we would go at it with putty knives. And you would just scrape at it. And I found that
it comes up like butter if you do it right.
I found certain areas they work really well with the flexible putty knife, and then other areas they worked better with the putty knife that does not flex at all. The one that doesn't flex at all is the one that I think I use the most.
Yeah, we fought over that one.
Quite a bit.
About one of each.
But once your floors have all that adhesive up, we went back over it with our angle grinder and this wire wheel, and we got it down to where it was almost shiny. And then once that was done, we attacked it with Cred Cutter. And what Cred Cutter did was it like leached all the oil.
I wasn't in here for that one, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's what I did. If you look at the video of the floor prep and primer paint, you'll see me going back before it and cleaning the floors off. And that is with this. I did 3 coats of this.
Okay, there you go.
Cred Cutter, and what it did was it pulled everything up and off of the floors. And then I came back in and I vacuumed before we ended up painting.
Well, you did that before. You did the OSPO.
Yes, I take that too.
Before we painted.
OSPO.
Actually, I think you did the OSPO before you cleaned.
That is true. That is true. I did do the OSPO before I cleaned. But the OSPO is a rust converter. This stuff is very corrosive. Very corrosive and very toxic. So if you're doing this, make sure that you've got breathing protection on, you've got eye protection on, make sure you've got gloves on, right? And what you're doing with it, what I ended up doing with it was I poured it onto the areas that had rust after I'd already gone over them with the wire wheel and cleaned them up to the best of my ability. And we went over it with a vacuum. I hit it up with some OSPO, and I had a paintbrush that I essentially just painted over the top. And then you let this sit for a while. I believe it was 24 hours, 48 hours.
Yeah.
You let that sit, and what it does is it chemically converts the rust.
And it stops it from spreading.
It stops it from spreading. It does some awesome stuff.
Stops it from becoming cancerous.
So we put that over all the areas that we had rust in. For us, the area that was the worst is, if you remember, when we removed the heat lines that on the other side of the bus from where we're at right now, but the heat lines that went to the original heater, went to the driver's side heater, and went to the driver defrost. Just forward of our emergency door, there was a lot of rust there. And that was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
That was the reason that I wanted to pull those lines out, is because
up underneath them,
if they got even a pinhole leak and that coolant just sat there, it was going to cause some issues.
That whole side of the bus would have been bad.
Well, that, and I didn't want it to seep underneath our floors into our subflooring and us not know about it. So I figured, let's just get rid of it and we'll reroute the lines up and underneath. We're not going to get into that today. That'll be a different video. But the OSPO cleared all of that rust up, and it got us to a position where we were able to paint. And speaking of paint, what Sarah had gone out and got, which worked amazingly, was Rust-Oleum. And
I didn't realize when I went back the second time that they had a glossy finish white, and I had picked up the matte to begin with. So either way,
if you look at the pictures and you look at the videos, you'll notice that the floor is done
still looks
in
wet,
matte, and the wheel wells are done in a gloss white.
Hey, it doesn't matter. It's all white. It's paint.
Speaking of the wheel wells, you want to grab the kill mat?
Yeah.
This stuff's heavy. Kill mat is what we've been using for sound deadening. So this is going to go over our wheel wells. It's going to go over our firewall in the back. And it'll go over
one of them.
It'll go over a majority of the floor in the back where the drivetrain is, and that's just to kind of reduce the amount of noise that's coming up into the cabin. And I think Sarah's going to open it up and show you what it looks like. But it comes in these really nice sheets that are easy to work with.
Really nice boxes.
Oh yeah, these designer boxes.
These amazing boxes that they come in. So it's literally just a sheet.
And you peel the back off of it. It's got butyl tape on the back. And they recommend when you do it, you buy that roller. And that roller, you just roll over the top of it, and it makes it nice and smooth. And that's how they tell you when you know that it's done correctly, is when that top part is no longer kind of wrinkled and it's nice and smooth.
Yeah, it's like rigid.
So, and then another thing that we had used, and I don't have it here, if you remember when we did the stairs, the entry stairs, we had a lot of rust that was up in the
where
corners.
they met.
And I went up underneath it because I didn't know if it was something that we would have to end up cutting the entire thing out and replacing it, or if it was something that we could fix. And what I ended up doing was JB welding the holes, and it worked out really well. And then after we JB welded the holes, we went through and went over the top of it with all-purpose putty.
Yeah, no, but we had something else that we put in that, remember? That hardened it.
Yeah, it was a JB weld.
No, we mixed the putty with something.
Oh yeah, but that comes with the putty.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I didn't know. It came with it.
Yeah, so we JB weld, we let that sit overnight, came back in, and there was no indication that was going to let go of anything at any point. So
Yeah.
that stuff is nice and strong. We got the, I forget the pressure that it was able to withstand, but I got the highest one I could find.
6,000?
I think it was like 16,000. So it was
up
insane
there.
amount.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way that we're going to put that much pressure on it. And then looking at underneath the stairs, there was these massive cross beams that went underneath it for support as well.
Yeah, yeah. So when we get our bus up and running, party on our stairs. Just because they can hold us.
Yeah, they might be one of the strongest things here on
the bus.
So, but all-purpose putty, we did this to cover up a lot of the pitting. We sanded that down, and then we got more Rust-Oleum spray paint. We spray painted that black. We're not anywhere near done with the stairs, but
We're not anywhere near done with
the
anything.
prep work is done on it for when we get ready to do the build.
Yeah.
So, and that's essentially where we're at right now. Everything else that we've gotten has been through the junkyard. And if you've got a junkyard near you, I highly recommend going there and seeing what's available to you.
Yeah.
We've picked up our inverter we got from the junkyard that came out of an ambulance.
Yeah, we got our chair.
We got
came out of another bus.
our chair that came. Well, no, I think that came out of a fire truck.
Oh, I thought he pulled it out of that other short Thomas that he had with the dark windows.
He might have. But
either way,
we got the chair from there too. And that was our chair. We got that for $100, which was an outstanding price.
Yeah. We got some teak. What are they? I'm
gonna call them floorboards.
Yeah, that's what they. But they look like what you would put in a shower, with the.
And that's essentially what we're gonna put them in a shower. But I pulled those out of the back of a wrecked fire truck.
Yeah.
And then we found a lot of stuff on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist.
Yeah, we found a sink.
Yep, found that beautiful stainless steel sink.
Yeah. Shout out to
all the
you.
shingles.
You know who you are.
Those shingles that we picked up from the town over that we're going to use in the shower.
Oh yeah, we were in Wilmington when we went over there, and he looked on Facebook Marketplace, and some gentleman had just done his roof, and he had leftover stuff.
There's probably a good 80 square foot of shingle in there, so that's going to work out really well. One of the other things that we've been doing is going to construction sites and asking the construction the crews there if we can pick up any of their
the head guy.
Yeah, but
he's the one who
we've got quite a few pallets.
So
And
nice. What are they? Those thinner boards that we were planning on doing with
those are 1x6s that they've been cut off in 1-foot sections, but I mean, we're going to be able to use them for something.
No, yeah, but we can always we had planned on probably using those for the stairs anyway, because one of those gives us enough to do almost a whole stair. So it's just figuring out what we're gonna do with all the things we've got.
We've picked up a bunch of wood. Our neighbor gave us a ton of wood.
Yeah.
So these are all things that are going to be helpful, because the next thing that we're going to be working on is going to be finishing up the kill mat on the rear of the bus, and then once that's done, we're moving on to subflooring. And wood right now, I know in some parts of the country, I was reading it was like $50 for a sheet of plywood.
Yeah,
Thankfully, out by us
60
right now,
something.
it's still really cheap. I say really cheap. It's like $32 for a sheet of plywood. It's not necessarily. It's
like
cheaper than it is
$60.
in other parts of the country right now. But I think that covers it for materials and equipment that we've gotten. WD-40 is always something that you should have on hand, because it's going to help you with loosening just about anything.
Yeah.
We also picked up a shop vac.
Oh yeah, that.
It's going to be a lot easier than coming in here and sweeping. Especially a 40-foot bus during demo. You're going to get so incredibly dirty. So incredibly dirty. So make sure that you've got clothes that you're willing to get filthy, and you've got a means of cleaning it up. And especially during a demo, wear your PPE. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. I've got asthma and COPD, and that just messed me up. So definitely breathing protection. Let's see. I can't think of anything else that we picked up or that we used.
Well, you've ordered stuff for the windows.
We haven't gotten to those yet.
No,
so.
and like locks and stuff.
I've got a lot of parts that we've been picking up, and when we get to those projects, we'll go over
more
those things that I've picked up and all the tools that are necessary for that. And then, I mean, other little things like Phillips head screwdrivers. Like, we were playing around with moving our emergency exits.
Yeah, we're
going to put quite a few of them in the back.
Yeah, in our bedroom area.
We're going to move them away from where the kids' beds are. We're going to put some over in the kitchen. We're going to put other ones by the desk.
Yeah, we're going to move those around for sure.
But
those are easy too. Once you know it, you have to get out of the way.
And then all the wiring and everything. But I'm gonna do a whole thing on wiring and everything that goes into that, and how we're gonna run our electrical. But that's gonna be further on down the road when I start actually building the electrical cabinet.
Yeah, once we get everything,
running everything into there,
framed out and stuff.
So, but we'll definitely go into detail about a lot of that. I know we've been kind of doing a lot of time-lapse videos for demo. And mostly that's because sitting around watching us scrape paint for 40 minutes probably would not be something that anybody wants to watch or hear us in here cussing and screaming. I'm so tired of all this adhesive.
Yeah. Speaking of, look, there's gum right here.
Those are all the walls are the next thing that we're going to clean. Oh, and speaking of cleaning the walls, Brillo pads.
And 409.
Yep. And then there's a, I forget where the other one's at, but there's one of these that's plastic. This is the wire wheel.
The plastic one.
There is a plastic one that you can get, and it has worked.
That's really well. I've got
it has worked really well. Sarah's done this side of the wall over here.
Not all of it.
Not all of it. Nothing on this side, but she's done work over here, and it worked really well.
It did after I was sitting there scrubbing it with this thing for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. He's like, oh, I've got this. And I'm like, oh.
If you've got a drill, you got Ace Hardware, you got a Lowe's, you got any hardware store. They sell these, and they're plastic, and you're able to go in and it'll make quick work of just about anything. Yeah. Now, you're still going to use a Brillo pad for certain areas.
Yeah, they don't go on the angle grinder, though. Tell them that. It goes on.
Well, they might make one for the angle grinder.
Well, they might, but the one I used went on his drill. So that was actually pretty handy.
Yeah, it came in helpful. I mean, we're gonna need it because we still got to clean off the rest of the walls, and then once all that's done, we'll work on framing the walls out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can think of anything else?
Nope.
There's so much.
There is.
There's so much.
There really is.
But you know, as we move forward and we get into the next phase of things, we'll do another one of these videos where we discuss everything that we've gotten up into the point that got us to where we're at.
Everything we can remember.
Everything that we can remember. And you know, if you see something, you're like, hey, what tool is that? Or what kind of paint did you use? What kind of chemical did you use? Drop a comment. I mean,
unless it's this thing.
Yeah,
we just don't know what this is.
I don't know what this thing is.
I called it because he does cable installation. I called it a what did I call it? It's like a wire. I don't even remember what I called it. Like a.
It's a flat shovel.
Yeah, like a wire shovel. Like pretty much like what you literally
you can dig a
put
trench
in the
with
ground, and you literally put your wire in to just, you know, a little.
It works. It
Either
works
way,
phenomenally.
Yeah, we're gonna call it the rubber ripper. We're gonna call
these are good too.
No, they're not. Don't lie to those poor people. No, they're not. No, they're not.
They worked somewhat. You're right. The spatulas were better.
Yeah. All day, bro. Anybody that's gonna sit here and tell you, go get a wire brush.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I would literally rather crawl on my hands and knees with this spatula and scrape this up, because honestly, with your adhesive and that goof off, like we said, if you soak it enough, it comes up like butter. You literally just have to put it on there and go, and you're not even pushing. You're just like coming up, and it's coming up. So
yeah. And then,
don't get one of those, please.
As far as painting goes, we picked up three paint brushes, and
I got 2 paint brushes, and I got a pack of 6 of the rollers.
Yep, and then 2 rollers, and then
the roller heads, and then I got 2 rollers, and I got 2
the poles that attach
poles.
to them.
Yes.
So, and that made quick work of painting the floor. We're going to use that again on the roof. I don't think we're going to be painting the walls. Not this section of the walls. We'll be
probably
painting
not.
whatever
Probably
goes
upward.
in front of it.
Or
So, yeah, because we're not cutting any of this out. We're going to
build. This is all. We're building off of this.
We're going to build off of this. So we're going to have. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you got to remove all this insulation. This insulation's bad."
Ours is not bad. We looked at the ceiling.
I've not seen anything that's shown me that our insulation's got anything living in it. Got
it looks
mold in
aged.
It. Yeah,
is what it looks like.
So, and I'm assuming that that's probably what it's going to look like throughout the entire bus. And what we're going to do is we're going to get foam insulation, and we're going to do foam insulation in between our framing that's going to go in here, and then we're going to build the walls up on that, and our roof is going to stay the same with the exception of where I pulled down the panels that are up at the top, and you've seen that in a lot of our videos. You can see the insulation and all the wiring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to redo that in wood.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a nice transition between the bottom of the bus and the top.